Nana, we are in a very triggering moment for some, and for others, it's a moment that they actually feel. This nation is in a quandary when it comes to migration, immigration, particularly from people who don't look like colonizers, white people in America, um, for use of a better term. And now we have the Haitian Bridge Alliance suing JD Vance and Donald Trump for saying basically we want Haitians gone. And also, they're talking about the Congolese as well. What is this moment?
So this is a moment it's one of those moments of reckoning, of awareness, one of those moments when it bursts through the crust, right? And so we know that this country is racist. Like, we know that. We know that that anti-Blackness runs deep. We know that the anti-Blackness that is anti-Haitian runs deep, that it runs from the Haitian Revolution, which served as just an inspiration to enslaved Africans everywhere, but particularly in the Americas. We know that the anti-African sentiment is, and rhetoric is great and is old. Like, I am old enough to know, I'm not going to pull you into it. I'm old enough to remember Tarzan. I'm old enough to remember, right, the jokes and the ways that I was teased, even though I was born here as an African person. And so what we're seeing in this moment is anti-Blackness gone diasporic. That's what we're seeing in this moment. And it's not unusual based upon who uttered these words, right? Because that has been their thing from the very beginning. But we have to be clear that this notion of Haitians as the other, as terrible, as bad, as violent, as animalistic, as full of disease, as, not really human, is not something that's just been limited to Donald Trump and JD Vance, that it's part and parcel of the immigration policy in this country up until this very day, regardless of who's in charge.
So at the end of the day, we have Donald Trump saying that Haitians are in Springfield, Haitian migrants are in Springfield, Ohio, eating dogs and cats. The city manager and the mayor and the governor have said this is not true. And the governor has even rebuked Donald Trump to a certain extent, telling him that we don't have the resources if you want to come to our town over this issue. Then Donald Trump just this week said, well, they just need to leave. He finally just said they just need to leave. Now, as we talk about migrants, we're talking about the Congolese too. And when we talk about that border that he wants to build this long wall for, it's not just Mexicans coming there. It's Haitians, it's Ukrainians, it's Africans, it's Brazil, it's from people from everywhere coming to that border. But why is he picking certain groups of people? Why?
Because those were the people to pick on. And why do they pick on the Black people? They always pick on the Black people. And so the Haitians are the Black people of the world of immigration. The Africans, the Congolese, the Mauritanians, the Cameroonians, Nigerians, Ghanaians. I mean, we are the Black people in the immigrant space. And so, so I'm so appreciative of you, April, and how you're always willing to talk about and uplift what's happening with Black immigrants, because we are the Negro, I'm using the kind term, of the immigrant space. Now, look, JD Vance is married to an Indian woman.
That part, say it again.
And his children have Indian names and they are part Indian. I mean,
wait.
JD Vance you get it.
JD Vance is married to a woman who's South Asian, like Kamala Harris.
Right.
South Asian. Let's talk about that. Go ahead.
Right, like in terms of that heritage, right? Mm-hmm. And then you look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump's father, like my own, was not born in this country, okay? His mother's parents were born in this country, but her grandparents were not. Mm-hmm. And yet, he can't find a woman from the U.S. to marry, okay? Every single one of her children is a child, except
Wait,
for
no,
one.
no, no, Marla Maples,
Right, except one.
one, Marla Maples, yes.
But he didn't marry her mother. Okay.
No,
These.
he
Oh,
did
did
marry
he?
Marla Maples.
Oh, goodness.
He did marry
Okay.
Marla Maples because that was Tiffany. I
That's
remember,
right, Tiffany.
yeah,
So that's the one.
he was married to, how do I know this? He was married to Ivana when he was on the ski slope cheating with Marla.
That's right.
And
That's
they
right. That's
came
right.
together, and then ultimately they got married, had Tiffany, and then they got a divorce. And then
That's right.
he
And then
went
he
to
married. Yeah. So
Melania, but he cheated on her with Stormy Daniels right after she gave birth. This is, this
you know much more of the tea than I do.
this sounds like a soap opera versus somebody who's running for president.
Absolutely. But my point is that it's like he marries people, has children by these women who are immigrants. And I'm not mad that they're immigrants. I'm just stating facts. And so it's like he is immigrant rooted. His vice president is married to someone who's immigrant rooted. His children are the children of people who are immigrant rooted, of women who are immigrant rooted, except for one. But it's all good because they're white. So their whiteness makes it so that they are not anymore seen in this immigrant light. And who gets seen in the immigrant light are Black folks, who get seen in the immigrant light are brown folks, etc. And so when we look at what's happening with this rhetoric, we know that it's meant to be what it is. It's meant to be anti-Black. It's meant to be xenophobic. It's meant to instir violence. This is a person who described Black countries as S-hole countries. This is a person who, first day he got in, had what we call a Muslim and African ban. I know other people just call it a Muslim ban, but when you count how many countries were involved, the majority of the countries and the people he was banning were people that were coming from Black countries, African countries. And so this has been his thing from the beginning. We shouldn't be surprised at what we're seeing now. It's unfortunate. I saw a video recently of an elder Black man in a little town in Alabama who was asking, hey, why are you going after these Haitians in this little town in Alabama? And so it's gone beyond Springfield, April, to all over the country. We're getting calls from folks in Georgia. Senator Warnock's office called, hey, we got Haitians being threatened in Georgia, Baji. What you got to, how can you help us? Like this is happening now all over the country, not just in Springfield.
And it's so ugly. So you work closely with the Haitian Bridge Alliance. What is Baji and the Haitian Bridge Alliance are our go-tos. Let's just say that. And even the president of the United States, Joe Biden, thought you were so magnificent on these issues. But what do you think this lawsuit by the Haitian Bridge Alliance against Trump and Vance will do?
Well, at very least, it puts some brakes on some of this, right? We have to flex our muscle. You don't get to build muscle. You don't get to move unless you exercise your muscle. And I think it's important for people, including political candidates, even if they're running for president and vice president of the United States, to understand that they don't get to act with complete and absolute immunity, that there are folks who are going to stand up, in the words of Brother Malcolm, by any means necessary. And so, yes, some of it is going to be by advocating, some of it is going to be by protesting, as some folks did out in Florida, in Obaji, Florida, and some other folks were out at Mar-a-Lago yelling and screaming. Some people are going to do it by filing lawsuits. They need everything that we can throw at them thrown at them to understand that this is not acceptable and that we're not going to be pigeonholed into just one way of speaking up and one way of fighting back, but that we're not afraid and we're willing to take them even into these courtrooms where they think we're afraid to go.
Immigration is not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's a human issue. But it seems like sometimes neither side gets it right. Haitians have been suppressed and oppressed for a long time. There's a whole different law for Haitians than there is for a Cuban. And what's crazy right now, Haiti is under siege with these gangs. They're calling them militias, basically. And the government, they can't even vote. And you have to be in Haiti under threat of these gangs, to go to the government house to ask for asylum if you can get there. And then if you get there, if you live afterwards, and then once you do all the paperwork, then you can come. But if you come over in the boat without seeking asylum from Haiti, you're sent back. This is crazy.
It is literally, it's just a setup. The whole thing is a setup. So you have a parole program that includes Haiti, and they act like, oh, this is a great, support, but you have to have support from inside the country. You have to be able to fly in. It's back to a version of that wet foot, dry foot, right? So you've got to be a dry foot that flies in. The government, there was a time when they halted the program because they were like, oh, we think that there may be fraud going on. It's like, look, if there wasn't no fraud going on with all those Ukrainians, I don't know why you're now trying to say there's fraud going on with the Haitians, right? And so they've made it harder for people to come in. There's people who are waiting 18 months, like they put in the application to support their loved ones, and they still have not gotten an approval yet. 18 months that their people have been trapped up in Haiti, right, when they should be able to get out. And then, as you said, they are capturing people in the water. And I'm using that term specifically. They are literally capturing people in the waters, sending people back to a country that the United States has decided is too dangerous for its own people. So if it's too dangerous, if Haiti is too dangerous for USians, why is it not too dangerous for Haitians? And particularly because part of the reason that Haiti is in the situation it's in is because of the United States, period.
That's powerful. I'm going to ask two last questions. One on President Biden and the other on Vice President Kamala Harris, as we talk so much about J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. President Biden, October 10th through the 15th, will be traveling to Germany, then to Angola. What do you think this Angola visit is going to do as it relates to more compassion, more understanding to people who look like us?
I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't. I mean, I think it's really about, the United States has military bases at this point throughout the continent. Angola is an important country in terms of its oil richness and mineral richness. And I think because you have China in the continent, because you have, to a lesser degree, the Russia, in the continent, I think that there's an effort on behalf of the United States that we've seen increasingly where the U.S. is trying to make sure that it doesn't get pushed out by China in particular, but other forces in addition. And so I think that's what that's really about. Angolans are still being deported. And when he gets back, Angolans will still be getting deported. And that's all we need to know.
On Kamala Harris, what do you hope if she becomes president? If this momentum that we're seeing in this straw polls view is true, if she becomes president, what do you want to see from her?
Yeah, and I love the rephrase of the question because I don't know what the hope actually is as much as the want, right? And so what we want is we want a complete flipping of the frame of immigration. Right now, the frame of immigration, even with respect to the Harris-Walz campaign, is still an enforcement frame. It's about securing the border. It's about keeping out fentanyl. It's about stopping human traffickers. It's about more surveillance, more border agents. That is not welcoming. That is not the promise that this country presents. Whether you're coming here for economic reasons, whether you're coming here for political, social reasons, you're coming here for asylum, what the United States tells the rest of the world, and it's done so for decades, right, is you can come here for that opportunity to flourish, to live that sweet life, right, to have your best life. And that is not what immigration policy looks like now. She knows what her parents were hoping for. She knows who she has become as a result of the capacity, the opportunity for her parents to have that. And it's a shame that it has been denied to others, including folks from her country of Jamaica, her home country of Jamaica. And it is, you know, we want that to change. And we're expecting that. We're expecting and wanting that she's going to remember how she became, that her people came. And because they came, she's able to be in the position that she's in right now. And that door should be opened even further, not closed.
Nana Gyamfi of Baji, thank you so much. You are always amazing. Thank you, my friend.